Introducing Sauer Castle, produced by the Castle Inspectors. A lot of people are fascinated by a property at 935 Shawnee Road, Kansas City, Kansas. Starting with Anton Philip Sauer. Anton Sauer was born in Germany on March 10, 1823. His parents were Florian and Eva. Anton Philip Sauer moved on his own when he was 15. He worked first as a bookkeeper in Russia and moved at the age of 17 to Austria. He met a woman named Francesca and married at the age of 18 in 1844. They had 5 children in Austria named Gustav, Anton Jr., Julius Emil, and Johanna. Anton traveled extensively for business and for a time worked as a merchant in Australia and Costa Rica. He worked with wine, wool, cotton, and coffee. In the mid-1850s, he decided to try his luck in the United States and migrated with his family to New York City. There, his wife passed away. Due to his own ill health, it was suggested that the cleaner air to the west may benefit him. With 2 sons, he worked in freighting in the Rocky Mountains and opened a tannery in Kansas City. By 1868, Anton and his children had settled into growing Kansas City. His sons bought interest in a grocery store at 3rd and Main as Anton settled into a home at 16th and Grand while serving as president of the German Savings Association. In 1869, Anton met Maria Mary Messerschmidt, a recently widowed 28-year-old woman with 2 girls. They married and opted to start their own family. Anton decided to look for a piece of property to build upon that reminded him of his homeland. He then passed away on August 18, 1879, in the 2nd floor master bedroom. Mary and the children continued living in the house, as did the children continue living there after Mary's death in 1919. The designer and creator of the house, Asa Beebe Cross. Asa Beebe Cross was an American architect who studied architecture under Thomas Walsh and John Johnson. He mainly worked in Kansas City, where it is estimated that he designed more than 1,000 structures. He worked on many of the famous buildings such as Vail Mansion and Sauer Castle. Some other buildings that Asa created were Warnell House, Union Depot, Jackson County Courthouse, Vaughn's Diamond Building, and St. Patrick's Catholic Church. He owned his own lumber company from 1858 to 1871 until he realized he wanted to become a building designer. He immediately started his own lumber company when he first stepped foot into Kansas City. Asa was 32 when he started his business and was 55 when he changed to a building designer. Asa started building Sauer Castle in 1871 and the castle was completed in 1873. He sadly passed away on August 18, 1894 at 67 years old. One of Asa Beebe Cross's designs still stands today. It was commissioned by Anton P. Sauer. Around 1870, Sauer had his sights on some land towering on the cliffs overlooking the Kaw River near Rosedale, Kansas. The land was originally owned by a Shawnee Indian named Thomas Big Knife, who sold it to Cole J. L. Pritchard, who used the land as a fruit farm until Anton purchased it from him in 1870. The land he bought was 63 acres. Sauer Castle only takes up 4 acres of the land. He began building in 1871 and dedicated much of the design to Asa Beebe Cross. The castle is an Italian villa red brick home with a 4-story tower. Inside the house on the 1st floor was a 14-foot ceiling with 12-foot windows. The receiving room had beautiful hand-carved rosewood spindled staircase. It had light and dark wood floors. The parlor had a large fireplace made from imported marble, which was connected to the music room. Under the parlor sits a large wine cellar. The dining room was furnished with marble and had 24 chairs. The 2nd floor had many large bedrooms with more marble designs. The 3rd floor had the servants' quarters and a small room that was used as a classroom. The Sauers passed away and the castle had many different owners for a few years. However, the one owner that has upset everyone is Carl Locke.
I just want to ask about what happened to like the rest of like the remaining of Anton's family. Why did they hand it over to him?
It's a great question. They they were actually on vacation in Colorado, and one family member just stayed behind, and a local oil tycoon came along like in the 40s when they were on vacation and offered to buy it. And they said, yeah, they sold it to this oil tycoon.
Carl Locke bought Sauer Castle in 1988. He has owned the house for a few decades and has let it decompose from its old true beauty and into what it stands today. The house doesn't have the beautiful glow that it had when it was built. Many of its owners were able to help the house keep its charms until Carl Locke. He has ignored the house's needs. The flowers in front of the house have died, along with the grass from being ignored and abandoned. Many people are upset by how this beautiful piece of Kansas City history has been left behind.
Yeah. From a lot of water damage, a lot of the plaster has fallen off of the ceilings and the walls. So the plaster is gone. Other than that, the brick is still good. It's several layers thick. It was built to last. And it can be remortared. It can be replastered inside. The plaster looks horrible. But it's got tall ceilings. It was one of the first buildings in the area with indoor closets and indoor plumbing. He had a holding tank up in the attic, so it was gravity fed to have plumbing inside the house.
The house looks so terrible that people have begun to make ghost stories about it. If there have been some who say they have seen ghosts of what they believe to be Anton Sauer and his wife, who sadly passed away in this house many years ago. The shrieking noises people hear and believe that are screams are actually breezes of air flowing through the cracked windows, and the sights they see are shadows from how the sun sets through the windows of the tower. Many of these stories have been blown out of proportion, but the community knows that if he was to restore the castle, the horror stories around its gloomy features would disappear. People hope that Sauer Castle will one day be saved from its terrible condemned fate. Thank you for watching our documentary. Castle Inspectors out.